They told him there were no rooms left. That was until someone else walked in. What they didn't know was that the man they had rejected wasn't just any ordinary traveler. He was a global icon, a legend in the world of music, a force of nature. The man was none other than rapper Snoop Dogg, with the power to not only shape his destiny, but also rewrite theirs. The rain came down in sheets, a relentless downpour drumming fiercely against the sleek black SUV that carried him. Snoop's vehicle pulled smoothly into the circular driveway of the Imperial Sunset Hotel in Long Beach, California. The golden glow of chandeliers spilled onto the wet pavement, casting an aura of opulence, a beacon of luxury against the stormy night. For most people, the hotel was a sanctuary, a haven of comfort that offered rest to weary travelers seeking respite. But tonight, for Snoop, it wasn't that kind of welcome. The doors opened, and he stepped out of his car with the same calm confidence that had made him a household name. Adjusting the collar of his iconic blue and gold jacket, he stood tall at 6 feet 4 inches, his commanding presence impossible to overlook. The soft click of his polished shoes echoed through the marble lobby as he made his way inside, the scent of fresh-cut roses mingling with the faint aroma of espresso that drifted from the nearby lounge. Approaching the reception desk with a smile that had won over millions, Snoop greeted the young front desk clerk, his voice calm yet warm, carrying the unmistakable charisma that defined him. "Good evening," he said smoothly. "I'd like a room for the night. My flight got delayed and I need a place to stay before catching the next one." The young man behind the desk, with slicked-back blonde hair and a name tag reading Evan, barely glanced up. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, typing slowly, deliberately. "I'm sorry, sir," he said, though his tone suggested no real apology. "We're fully booked." Snoop's eyes moved around the lobby, noticing the lack of any significant activity. The soft chime of the elevator signaled the arrival of only one other guest. Unfazed, Snoop leaned in slightly, the smile never fading. "Fully booked, you say? Not even a single room?" Evan's eyes met his for the first time, his lips curling into a thin, rehearsed smile. "That's correct," he said, the words hanging coldly in the air. "There's nothing available." But before Snoop could respond, the revolving doors spun open with a soft whoosh, admitting a middle-aged couple. Their suitcases rolled quietly behind them, the sound of their presence breaking the brief silence. Evan's demeanor shifted in an instant. The cold professionalism vanished, replaced by a warm, welcoming tone. "Welcome to the Imperial Sunset," he said, his voice dripping with charm. "Do you have a reservation?" The man shook his head. Without missing a beat, Evan nodded enthusiastically. "Not a problem. Let me check for availability." Snoop watched, his patience wearing thin, as the young man typed once more. In mere moments, a room key appeared, and with a bright smile, Evan handed it over. "Enjoy your stay," he said cheerfully as the couple walked away. Snoop's expression remained neutral, but his patience was visibly fading. He cleared his throat, drawing Evan's attention back. "I thought you said you were fully booked." The words were deliberate, almost measured. Evan faltered for the briefest moment. His smile wavered. I meant, we don't have anything that would suit your needs," he stammered. Snoop didn't need to hear more. The truth had been made clear. It wasn't about availability or timing. It was something far more insidious. The realization hit him hard, but he kept his emotions in check, his face a mask of composure. He straightened up, his voice as composed as it had been when he entered. "Thank you for your time," he said softly, and without another word he turned on his heel and walked out into the rain. But that wasn't the end of the night. It was just the beginning. Outside, the rain poured relentlessly, yet Snoop stood unaffected, his mind a calm sea despite the sting of the encounter. He took shelter under the hotel's awning, letting the sound of the rain on the canopy above fill the space, its rhythmic patter offering a strange comfort. Pulling out his phone, he scrolled through a list of nearby hotels, his eyes occasionally drifting back toward the revolving doors behind him. Something about the scene lingered, like a faint smell that wouldn't dissipate. Casually, he leaned against a marble pillar, just out of sight of the lobby but close enough to keep watch. It didn't take long for his suspicions to be confirmed. A young man, no older than his mid-20s, strolled into the hotel, wearing a hoodie and cargo pants, a backpack slung low over one shoulder. The man moved toward the front desk, and Snoop watched him make the same request for a room that he had made just moments ago. Snoop couldn't hear the exchange, but he didn't need to. Evan's exaggerated nods, the way his lips curled into that same practiced smile, Snoop saw everything he needed to. Within moments, the young man was handed a room key, his stay effortlessly confirmed. The clerk's voice was sweet as honey. "Enjoy your stay." Snoop stood there, his heart racing slightly. The injustice of it, the blatant favoritism, the way the system had worked against him, gnawed at him. He had walked in expecting a simple night's stay, but instead he was facing the ugly truth of how people like him were treated differently. The sting of that moment would stay with him, but Snoop wasn't one to back down. He knew this night was far from over. His time would come. The man was handed a key card, no hesitation, no excuses, just a swift transaction and a courteous farewell. For Snoop, that moment was a revelation, his lips pressing into a firm line. This wasn't a simple oversight, nor was it an accident. It was deliberate. It was personal. He stood there, processing the injustice that had unfolded before him. For a brief second, he considered confronting the clerk, calling out the blatant hypocrisy right there in the lobby, exposing the truth for all to see. But Snoop had spent years navigating the complex landscape of the music industry and business. He had learned the value of patience and restraint. There were times to speak, and there were times to act. Tonight, it was the latter. Without a word, he turned and slipped back into his car. The leather seat felt cool against his back as he started the engine, the hotel's golden lights fading slowly in the rearview mirror. As the rain continued to pour, Snoop's mind shifted gears. This wasn't just about him. This was about something far bigger. This was about every single person who had been quietly rejected, discriminated against, or overlooked, but didn't have the means or the platform to challenge it. Snoop wasn't going to let it slide. Not tonight, not ever. The rhythmic motion of the windshield wipers played in time with his thoughts as he navigated the slick streets of Long Beach. The rejection he had just faced wasn't a wound. It was fuel. He wasn't angry. Anger was wasted energy. Instead, he felt something sharper, more focused. It was a determination that had been honed over decades. Snoop had built an empire by outsmarting those who underestimated him, and tonight he was about to remind them all, himself included, of the value of dignity, justice, and the power of standing up for what's right. He drove toward the familiar glow of a nearby diner, a humble establishment with a red neon sign that read, "Mo 24/7 Eats." The smell of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon greeted him as he walked in. Snoop slid into a booth by the window, the soft hum of conversation filling the background. A waitress, eager to serve, placed a steaming mug of coffee in front of him without saying a word. He nodded in thanks, his eyes already glued to the screen of his laptop as his fingers flew over the keyboard. The Imperial Sunset Hotel hadn't been on Snoop's radar until recently. It was part of a struggling hotel chain, one that had seen better days. Whispers of its potential sale had reached his team during a routine investment meeting. At first, it seemed like a small fish, nothing more than a blip compared to the global ventures he usually pursued. But tonight had changed everything. Tonight, the game was different. In mere moments, Snoop dialed his attorney, Lisa Reynolds, a sharp negotiator with a reputation for closing deals at the speed of light. "Lisa, I need the paperwork for the Imperial Sunset Hotel finalized by sunrise," Snoop said, his voice steady yet commanding. "Sunrise, Snoop? That's ambitious, even for you," Lisa responded, caught off guard. "Consider it done, Lisa," he replied. The tone in his voice left no room for debate. "Send the paperwork to my phone as soon as it's ready. I'll sign it electronically." He ended the call, his eyes drifting out the window, watching as the rain streaked down the glass. He wasn't angry anymore. He was focused. He was in control. For the next few hours, Snoop's team worked tirelessly to finalize the deal. They were relentless. They understood the stakes. By the time the first rays of dawn broke through the dark sky, painting the world in soft hues of orange and pink, the paperwork was ready. The deal had been sealed. Snoop had done more than just reclaim his dignity that night. He had set something in motion, a ripple that would extend far beyond the walls of the Imperial Sunset Hotel, a reminder that no one, not even the powerful, could stand above the law of justice. He was about to change the game, and this time, it wasn't just business, it was personal. The deal was sealed. The Imperial Sunset Hotel was officially his. Snoop closed his laptop, letting out a deep breath as the weight of the moment settled in. His coffee had gone cold, but he didn't care. The real work was about to begin. The morning sun glinted off the glass facade of the Imperial Sunset Hotel as Snoop stepped out of his car. A quiet confidence radiated from him, every step purposeful. Dressed sharply in a custom-designed jacket, he adjusted his sunglasses, momentarily glancing up at the building before him. It stood tall, a symbol of exclusivity, its polished exterior hiding the cracks beneath. Today, those cracks would be exposed, and the facade would crumble. Inside, the hotel staff were bustling about, preparing for another busy day catering to their affluent clientele. Behind the front desk, Evan, the clerk, was already in position, his practiced, polished demeanor firmly in place. He didn't notice Snoop enter at first. Snoop took his time, his eyes scanning the lobby with fresh eyes. He observed the subtle exchanges of glances among the staff as they passed by him. Their expressions flickered with curiosity, perhaps unease. It was the aura he carried, a calm authority that hinted at something larger, something significant about to unfold. When Snoop approached the front desk, Evan's smile appeared almost mechanically. "Good morning, sir. How can I help you today?" he asked, his voice smooth but devoid of warmth. Snoop didn't respond immediately. Instead, he placed a small black folder on the counter. The edges were sharp, pristine. Slowly, he opened it, revealing a stack of legal documents, each stamped and signed. Evan's smile faltered, confusion flashing across his face as he took in the sight of the paperwork. "I'm here to make an introduction," Snoop said, his voice calm yet firm. "My name is Snoop Dogg, and as of this morning, I am the new owner of the Imperial Sunset Hotel." The room seemed to hold its breath. Time slowed. The other hotel staff froze mid-task, heads turning toward the lobby, their faces registering a mix of shock and disbelief. Evan's face drained of color as the words sank in. His usual slick confidence faltered, leaving him looking lost, almost childlike. I don't understand," Evan stammered, his voice cracking. His composure had all but evaporated. Snoop held Evan's gaze, his eyes unwavering. "Let me make it simple," he said, his voice low but commanding. "This hotel is now under my ownership, and last night I had the pleasure of experiencing firsthand how some of the staff treat potential guests. Let's just say I was less than impressed." Evan opened his mouth to say something, but no words came. Snoop raised a hand, silencing him. "No need to explain. Actions speak louder than words, and your actions, they spoke volumes." Turning slowly, Snoop addressed the staff now gathered in the lobby. Their faces were a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. Among them stood Maria, the housekeeper, who had felt the weight of subtle prejudice for years, and Tom, the night porter, who had overheard Evan's snide comments about certain guests. They, along with the others, stood in silent anticipation. Snoop's voice rang out, clear and unwavering. "I believe in running businesses that stand for fairness, respect, and inclusivity. Unfortunately, this hotel has fallen short of that standard. But starting today, that changes." A palpable tension hung in the air. Snoop didn't let it linger. He stepped forward, his eyes scanning the faces of the staff. "You'll all have the opportunity to grow with this new chapter, except for those who refuse to treat every guest with dignity. Prejudice has no place here, not now, not ever." Evan's face flushed bright red, his fists clenched in frustration. He muttered something under his breath, but Snoop didn't give him the chance to speak. "Your actions last night have no place in the future of this hotel. You're dismissed, effective immediately." The words struck like a thunderclap, final and absolute. Evan's jaw dropped, his shock palpable as he stood there, motionless. The other staff members watched the scene unfold, some nodding subtly, others exchanging looks. Snoop could feel the shift in the room, an unspoken understanding, a ripple of acknowledgement passing between the staff. "Let me be clear," Snoop continued, pacing slowly. "This isn't just about what happened last night. This is about the culture of this hotel. It's about the message it sends and the experience it offers to every person who walks through these doors." The staff, now fully focused on him, hung on every word. Their attention was unwavering. "What happened last night wasn't just a slight against me," Snoop said, his tone growing more resolute. "It was a reflection of something much larger, a mindset that has no place here." Snoop's eyes swept over the group, letting his words settle. "From this moment forward, this hotel will stand for respect and inclusion. That means real change, starting with new policies and comprehensive training." He turned toward Maria, who had been with the hotel for over a decade, her expression a mix of uncertainty and hope. "Maria, what's your name?" Her voice was tentative, yet hopeful. "Maria," she replied. "Well, Maria," Snoop said with a reassuring smile, "you and the rest of the team will undergo training to ensure that every guest feels valued, no matter who they are or where they come from." Maria nodded, the weight of the moment slowly softening her apprehension. Snoop could see the others beginning to relax as well. Their shoulders lost some of their rigidity, their expressions softened. "But let me be clear about something else," Snoop added, his tone firm but not unkind. "I'm not here to punish anyone unfairly. Mistakes happen. Growth is possible. But it has to be real. I expect nothing less than integrity and respect from every person who works under this roof." The staff nodded, the first rays of change beginning to take root. This was just the beginning. Snoop had set the wheels in motion. The Imperial Sunset Hotel would never be the same. "If you're willing to embrace these changes, there's a place for you here. But if not, it's better for all of us to part ways." Snoop let the silence hang in the air, giving his words time to sink in. The staff stood still, some holding their breath. He knew that change wasn't easy, but this was necessary. "This hotel has the potential to be more than just a place to sleep or hold conferences," he continued, his voice steady. "It can be a beacon, a symbol of what hospitality should be. And with the right team, I know we can make that happen." Snoop took a step back, scanning the room. The atmosphere had shifted dramatically since his arrival. Where there had been fear and tension, there was now cautious optimism. The weight of his words had begun to settle in, creating a tangible sense of possibility in the room. "I've already put the wheels in motion," Snoop added, his tone resolute. "A new general manager will be arriving next week and renovation plans begin immediately. This is a fresh start for all of us." A faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth as he looked around at the team. "Let's make this hotel something we can all be proud of." The staff exchanged uncertain glances, whispering softly among themselves. But there was a new spark in their eyes, a glimmer of hope. Snoop could see that his message had resonated. The foundation for change had been laid. The weeks that followed were nothing short of revolutionary for the Imperial Sunset Hotel. Construction crews moved in almost immediately, transforming the space from the inside out. The once outdated decor gave way to modern, inviting tones. The cold, sterile walls were repainted, and the lobby was reimagined. No longer a place that felt intimidating, but one that welcomed every guest with warmth. Snoop took a hands-on approach throughout the entire process. He wasn't the kind of leader who issued orders from a distance. He was present, engaging with the staff and guests alike. His energy was infectious, motivating everyone to embrace the vision he had set forth. The training sessions became the backbone of the hotel's transformation. Experts were brought in to lead workshops on diversity, equity, and inclusion. These were not lectures, but open conversations where staff shared their experiences, confronted their biases, and learned how to foster a culture of genuine hospitality. Maria, the housekeeper who had quietly endured the hotel's toxic atmosphere for years, quickly emerged as a standout. Her natural empathy and problem-solving skills earned her a promotion to assistant manager. One afternoon during a check-in, she admitted to Snoop, "I never thought I'd have this kind of opportunity." Snoop smiled warmly. "You earned it, Maria." The word spread fast. Former guests returned out of curiosity to see the changes firsthand, while new visitors arrived, intrigued by the buzz surrounding the hotel's transformation. Reviews flooded in, praising not only the luxurious accommodations but the genuine atmosphere of kindness and respect that now permeated every interaction. The Imperial Sunset Hotel, once known for its prejudices and exclusivity, had earned a new reputation, one built on inclusivity and excellence. Snoop ensured that the success stories of his staff, people who had grown and thrived in the new environment, were showcased to the world, illustrating that change wasn't just possible, it was powerful. It was a crisp morning when Snoop stood in the hotel's newly renovated lobby, sipping a cup of freshly brewed coffee. The sunlight poured through the large windows, casting soft rays on the polished marble floors. Fresh flowers adorned every corner, and guests bustled in and out,
Maria approached
greeted
him,
with warmth by the
clipboard in
stand,
hand.
a bright smile on her face. "Mr. Dogg, the final guest survey results are in. Over 90% of visitors mentioned hospitality as the highlight of their stay." Snoop smiled, setting his cup down. "That's what I like to hear, Maria. It's not just about the building, it's about the people in it." As Maria walked away to handle another task, Snoop paused for a moment. He took in the energy of the lobby, the joy in the air, and reflected on the journey. This had been more than a business venture. It had been a personal mission, a reminder of the power of standing up for what was right. The spark that had ignited that change was still alive in him, and he had no intentions of letting it fade. He thought back to the night he had been turned away, the catalyst for everything that had come since. That moment, though painful, had ignited a fire in him that fueled a transformation not just for the hotel, but for everyone involved, including himself. Meanwhile, Evan, the former front desk clerk, had learned his own lessons. News of his dismissal had spread like wildfire, and opportunities in the industry dried up. Eventually, he found work in a much humbler setting, one where he was forced to confront his prejudices day in and day out. For the first time, he began to understand the weight of his actions and the impact they had on others. One afternoon, as Snoop was reviewing the day's reports, a family walked into the hotel lobby. The parents had 2 young children in tow, and the father, his features strikingly similar to Snoop's, paused as he approached. "I read about what you did here," the man said, shaking Snoop's hand. "It's inspiring." "Thank you," Snoop simply nodded, his expression warm. "This place is for everyone now," he replied. "That's how it should have always been." As the family moved on, Snoop turned back toward the entrance, his heart lighter. He had built many things in his life: records, legacies, a brand. But this was different. This was personal. Looking out at the bustling lobby, Snoop made a silent vow to himself. Every guest from now on would leave with a smile, knowing they had been treated with the respect they deserved. In the end, the Imperial Sunset Hotel was more than just a building. It became a symbol, a reminder that change begins with a single act of courage, and that every person, regardless of background or status, deserves to be treated with dignity.